the 13 years since his graduation, Mr. Byron Hayes has accomplished much. He has earned his bachelor's degree in chemistry from Hanover College, a master's degree in biology from Purdue University, and his JD at the Law School at Indiana University at Bloomington. He has practiced law for 4 years at the private firm of Baker & Daniels, which has offices in Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Chicago, South Bend, Washington, D.C., and Beijing. He now works as an in-house counsel at Zimmer Incorporated in Warsaw. Mr. Hayes and his family have a strong connection to the Canterbury community. His mother taught for years in the lower school division. He has 2 younger sisters who also graduated from Canterbury High School. He met his wife, Kelly, here at the school. And now his son, Reed, is attending Canterbury Preschool, and his brother, Noah, will soon join him there. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Byron Hayes.
Thank you, Carter. First, congratulations to the graduating class of 2010. You've made it through all those AP finals and what I'm sure was a painful and grueling May term. But in all seriousness, this is a great day. It's a day where we celebrate your accomplishments to date and look forward with excitement for what lay ahead for each of you. You are all future leaders, and you will influence and impact more people than you can imagine. And I look forward to opening up the Canterbury Today each month to follow your journeys. So congratulations on reaching this important milestone. After being invited by our headmaster to speak at this year's graduation ceremony, I spent months scouring through a huge stack of books, articles, studies, essays, everything, trying to find something that would strike a chord with everyone here this evening. Ultimately, however, that all proved futile, and I was left with no ideas and a massive bill from Barnes & Noble. Then, serendipitously, a few weeks ago, my dad gave me a sermon that was delivered by Martin Luther King Jr., titled, "A Tough Mind and a Tender Heart," which I thought captured perfectly 2 of the main qualities that Canterbury tries to instill in the graduates that walk across this stage. Those 2 qualities are a tough, discerning mind on one hand, and a tender heart, or integrity, on the other. By constantly strengthening and blending these opposites, we're able to more successfully navigate what can often be a difficult and challenging world, both over the next 4 years of your lives and beyond. So first, let's consider the tough mind, which Dr. King described as being characterized by incisive thinking, realistic appraisal, and decisive judgment. It is sharp and penetrating, and able, and actually eager, to sift through the truth from the false. This critically thinking mind, capable of stepping back, looking at a problem from all angles, and confidently suggesting a solution, is exactly the kind of thinking that got you through your classes here at Canterbury. It's a character trait that Canterbury graduates are reputed for having, and one for which we should be proud. Unfortunately, there's almost an epidemic quest nowadays for easy answers, and this widespread soft-mindedness tends to manifest itself in gullibility and complacency. As a father to a 1- and 3-year-old, as Carter mentioned, and I know I'm going to sound old and a little uncool for saying this, but it worries me to see what we as a society now deem to be acceptable behavior. But it's not entirely surprising. Our minds are constantly being bombarded with images of violence, promiscuity, vulgarity, and irresponsibility, which, without a tough mind, a critical mind, leads to desensitization and blind acceptance. Few people have the toughness of mind to step back and discern the true from the false and the right from the wrong. You all do. And I encourage you to never stop cultivating that toughness of mind. It's an extremely valuable character trait, and one which will serve you well throughout the course of your life, in both academic and social situations. But what's a tough and disciplined mind without a moral compass, or as Dr. King described it, a tender heart? Put simply, I think a tough-minded person with no integrity is, well, a smart and articulate jerk with no regard for anyone but himself. But in all seriousness, the importance of a tender heart, or integrity, is so often undervalued and lacking in many of our leaders and role models. You are all future leaders and role models, and I hope you never, 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 I'll just say it one more time, never compromise your integrity for temporary satisfaction or easy answers. Canterbury certainly values the importance of integrity in our decision-making process and character development. Anyone questioning that need look no further than the school's crest, which prominently reads, "Integrity in Omnibus," or "Integrity in all things." Now, there were countless writings on integrity, 67,200,000 on Google alone, so I won't even attempt to discuss it here. But I would briefly like to touch on one aspect of integrity that I would ask you all to practice in your daily lives, and that's the principle of kindness. I am convinced that nothing leaves a more indelible mark on the mind and heart than a sincere act of kindness. By way of example, my most vivid memory of my time spent here at Canterbury wasn't one on the soccer field or in the classroom. Instead, it was a simple act by a former janitor at the school named Otto. Now, by way of background, I have two beautiful younger sisters, both of whom are active in all sorts of sports. On this particular weekday night, my mom was busy shuttling them all over Northeast Indiana for soccer games, and I was stuck at school until about 8 p.m. or so. To pass time, I was shooting a basketball around in the gym by myself. So after missing about 20 or more likely 30 jumpers in a row, I walked out of the gym to get a drink of water and along the way bumped into Otto. During our brief talk, I complained about forgetting to bring money to school that day and how hungry I was. And it was about 7 o'clock at this point, and Otto and I were the only two people left in school. So after a few minutes, I parted ways with Otto and went to check my locker just one last time to see if I could scrounge up some spare change to use in the vending machine, but I wasn't able to. A few minutes later, when I returned to the gym, I noticed something sitting smack dab in the middle of the free throw line. And it was a freshly sealed pepperoni pizza Hot Pocket. Now mind you, I'd seen Otto eat these Hot Pockets every night that I had to stay late, so I knew exactly where it came from. So I picked up the Hot Pocket and found Otto sweeping the hallways. I walked up to him, thanked him for giving me his dinner for the evening. I told him I couldn't accept it. He just looked at me as if I had just grown a second head and said, "I have no idea what you're talking about, Byron." I persisted, but he just looked at me with this kind smile and encouraged me to enjoy the meal and to keep working on my jump shot. And then, with no expectation of praise or thanks, he went back to sweeping the hallways, and I enjoyed the best tasting Hot Pocket I'd ever eaten. It was such a small act of kindness, but it's one that I have not and will never forget. And when I think about it, that's what I remember. The amazing thing about kindness is that it benefits both the giver and the recipient. It's extremely easy to show, and it leaves a permanent imprint on both parties. I encourage you all to incorporate random kindness into each of your daily lives, and do so unconditionally and without regard to what you might get back from the person in return. After all, as the late great John Wooden once said, you can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. So next year, when you're in your dorm room, don't just walk by the janitor cleaning your hallways. Stop and say thank you for keeping your living space so clean. They don't hear it enough. And make an effort to just smile at people more often on your way to class. Sincere and unconditional kindness is contagious. And with the influence that you all will have on people throughout your respective lives, you might just start the right kind of epidemic. Now, you've earned the right to leave here, attend college, and be given a level of autonomy and freedom that, believe me, will shock you. But it's what you do with that freedom and the opportunities you've been given that will define your character and set your trajectory for the remainder of your life. It's a simple bit of advice, but if you continually cultivate the tough-mindedness that was taught within these walls behind me, and constantly strive to make decisions with integrity and kindness at the core, I'm confident you will find success and happiness, and I pray you all do. So thank you again, and good luck to each and every one of you.